Boom, bum, bum, boom, bum, bum, boom, bum, bum. Y'all know me up in here. Any of y'all years who have not as yet checked out as in reviewed my own YouTube social media channel, like some of such others already have or could have way back, who got their bragging rights and props, or whatever I've said, disregard, interrupt Mr. Popper or Pooper, certain characters who keep popping on my social media channel for literally, actually, for a couple few seconds and pop out just as quick. And it could possibly be some of anybody, and that's including any of the likes of my present proverbial neighbors from damn hell, of the likes of not just the worst, but of the worstest ones yet, for not just one of the worst, but for one of the worstest of vicinity area neighborhood communities within city limits. And so much for that conversation. Moving right along. Well, I apologize to one and all for that brief interruption. That's what it was. Well, hopefully that's all it will be. Hopefully I don't become subject to experiencing any more of it during the course of broadcasting this present social media content or video, you know. Anyway, though, how you all doing? I'm pressed for time. I'm going to try to broadcast for at least half an hour before I try to make it to a local vicinity area neighborhood community. Soup Kitchen being one of those that moonlights as a food pantry, and as is one of the few being of which I know that's serves at night or during the evening hours, compared to how most I know that serve during the daylight hours. But then, how are you all doing? Or hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet to be said, to be feeling all right. If not best of all, to be said, to be feeling blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, or too blessed to possibly become and be stressed. You and yours, your family and friends, hopefully me and mine likewise as well, are all the same. And please do forgive me, forgive me for possibly, not just practically, but for possibly butchering the English language as we have it, for the American dialect once again, with all the quantities as well as qualities of its grammatics or whatever I have said. But then, I never did claim to have become or be an English major, and so therefore, how much less have I ever claimed to have become or be an English professor? And so, on that last note of interest, let me get on with it and disregard or ignore what you're hearing in the background or whatever disruption or interruption is, not making reference to any social media broadcast come from electronic frequency transmission of a device of my own personal effects belonging to possession, but rather, of course, quite naturally, I'm making reference to any of these same proverbial neighbors from damn hell, being the likes of whom I had mentioned earlier, and moving right along. Yes, how are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet to be said, to be feeling all right, or if not best of all to be said, to be feeling blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, or too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and yours, your family, friends, hopefully me and mine, likewise as well, are all the same. And how many more minutes do I have now left to go? I'm not even at third of the usual average time frame period that I would broadcast. Like say for 10 minutes being a 1/3 of the usual average time frame period of half an hour, 30 minutes, in which I would broadcast. Get me thinking about one of these here talk show hosts who was like, broadcast for quite a while and was, practically, if not possibly, ready to run from the building after he were to get done broadcasting, as if it were to be on fire at some such given moment in time. In which it was like saying, all the same. How many minutes do I have now? Let me see. Oh boy, sometimes time can drag. But anyway, speaking upon something along the lines of the last mention, or the last before the last mention, rather, and, and given that my own personal views and opinions upon some such, whereas this morning, well, in addition to the likes of the proverbial neighbors from down here where I'm at now, giving me the usual wake up call, as well as they would give me the usual lullaby at night, if you know what I mean. Read between the lines, fill in the blanks. Whereas I heard a fire alarm going off, and I was like, what in the world? Well, if anything that would wake you up out of your sleep, it would be that, And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Only to find out that it was supposed to be malfunctioning, for the building fire alarm system, But then this is not the first time that this has happened where I'm at now, And, well, not to mention how a person would be glad to still be intact in one piece, what I mean to say, to be alive. Now I'm sounding like the stutterer president-elect. President-elect Elmer Fudd. No offense is meant. No offense or disrespect meant to be directed at the much more familiar, I suppose they could be called mentally challenged persons, many of whom have been diagnosed with a speech impediment or defect. No offense or disrespect meant them, meant toward their personal meant for them. Anyway, though, as I was saying before, so I say again, disregard the disruption, interruption. These neighbors from down hell where I'm at now, they some real obnoxious dickheads or pricks, And as they would more often not be of the criminal elements, rank and file, for where I'm at now, being in one of the less preferred vicinity neighborhood communities compared to where I was at formerly, previously, or prior to having to relocate as and move here with all of my personal effects, belongings, and possessions, as well as move myself here to keep from becoming a rank and file of the derelict transients or the homeless. Yeah. But anyway, getting back to some of such other, as I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted, and for this hot summer season where it's bad enough to have to put up with the weather temps, record-breaking, unnatural, phenomenal ones. For a hot summer season as well as it can compare onto one for a cold winter or fall season. You have to put up with certain neighbors being the ones of whom your average person would much rather take a rain ticket when it comes to being extended an invite or invitation to spend quality time with them, to become sociable with. God forbid, Trust me, these neighbors here. I know some of you all will say, complain, complain, complain. Is that what your social media channel is about? Complaining? No, it's not. I'm a positive person, I try to steer clear of negativity. But it's not a perfect world, as you all know, Especially when you have the likes of certain characters who will go all out their way to attempt to make somebody else's day or make somebody else's life a living damn hell, Being the likes of the social rejects of the rank and file of criminal elements of society, mainly or mostly, who have this rather stupid and sick philosophy of theirs that in order to make themselves feel better, they have to attempt to make somebody else feel in a funk, you know, read between lines, fill in the blanks. And that's not the very reason or purpose for my person having, you know, taking care of the necessary business in hand, I say to establish a social media account for this one particular website or network, as that would defeat what I had in mind to do when going about the necessary business at hand to be transacted with the business owners of it, being the sum and such. I mean, I'm just an account holder, just like you all. I have not much of a say in administrative capabilities, the representative personnel who have established this particular one, being as it's one of the biggest ones yet so far as YouTube is concerned. But then I have yet to have that being of this other strike against my YouTube social media channel removed, being of which will not happen until a couple few months from now, or for the fall or autumn of this year, and whereas we're in the summer season at the moment, and for some reason or another, whereas the YouTube administrative representative personnel had confused something that I had said, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, misinterpret my words. I mean, that's what I do believe, you know, unless it were to be brought to light otherwise. I mean, I would own up to my mistakes. I mean, that's what mature persons do. I mean, but seriously though, I don't recall, recollect, or remember what I could have possibly have said to warrant them giving me a strike against my channel, whereas one had most recently been removed, and now that is the only strike I have now. And whereas with this particular social media website, if you get 3 strikes against your social media channel, they can shut it down altogether as in permanently, you know, and then you'll be back at square one trying to start it up again. You know what I'm saying? Having to go through all the policies and procedures and protocols to establish another one to replace, the one that could possibly be silenced if they feel the need to do just that against a social media account holder. And so much for that conversation. And moving right along. So I guess you all are dying to hear what my day was like. Please don't insult my intelligence. Use it with the username of Safe Funny Videos with this What's Up Homie. Hopefully you were not trying to think to be obnoxious, but I don't appreciate that. Just next time you get on here, just say yes, like you had asked after that one question, how are you doing? I guess I'm doing okay. That would be the much more preferred question to ask me and inquiring about my general welfare. I mean, it's not like I'm a brain dead or brainless street punk or skinhead, gangbanger, though at times, I could use quite flavorful slang, lingo or language, Well, I try to keep it proper, as much as possible. But at times I like to change up. Well, then I guess I'm okay, I can't complain, Everything is beautiful in its own way. Physician, heal thyself. You know, look at me thinking on that last mention, how you know, I mean, some of the most wealthy or richest persons in the world be, wishing or hoping that they could at least have 1/3 of the fair general health of certain poor and needy persons if they are feeling much better than the likes of them, you know. I mean, really now, when you don't have your health, you know, anything else does not really matter. You hear what I'm saying? Read between the lines, fill in the blanks. And to complement the corn phrase or cliche, I feel like $1,000,000, When you don't have your health, you don't really much feel like, being bothered with anybody else's, hearsay of so much nonsense. You be like ready to, you know, come off like a person of a character that's, you know, turning into the green monster of the Incredible Hulk after having been Bill Bixby before then. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Read between the lines, fill in the blanks once again. And so far, whatever it is that I'm doing, hopefully I will keep on doing it to, from trying to get better to maintaining fair or good general health in any regard, be it physical or mental. I remember some born and raised female person, representing opposite sex of a woman, was saying to me, and back in the day, it wasn't that long ago, I like to say, although it wasn't most recent. No, it was like some years ago. She was like, whatever you are doing, keep doing it because you're looking good. You know, you look like the picture of health. You look like you're trying to get it together, regardless of how during some time back you could have you know fallen through the cracks. You know what I'm saying? And I should be trying to get it right this time. Once again, seeing how it's been quite a while since the last time I relapsed with living that living damn hell in the bottle, or worse yet, the pipe. My drug of choice being as is the wacko weed or reefer, marijuana, peyote, And I ain't trying to go out like that anytime too soon enough again. And whereas I'm not trying to sleep that one and let somebody sidetrack me and influence me to go back to any of that stuff or junk. Like say, for example, this one homeless white boy of a drunken bum I permitted to spend the night in my place of residence, although I don't live in one of the more preferred neighborhood communities anymore. But at least I'm not homeless like him. And I slept that one big time. He put the whammy on me. He ran game on me. He pulled the wool over my eyes. Well, whatever I ever said. I see him in the Chicago Public Library, and I know some compared to others would say, man, why don't you just go ahead and put that dead horse to rest? Man, how many times you gonna tell us that sad sex story? Well, let me give you the Cliff Notes version right quick and then be done with it. Even if I have to speed dial the narrative, to do so. Because I'm pretty much so getting sick and tired of reflecting upon it. I'm just so disappointed with myself to think that he took me for a ride like that. But anyway, though, I met him in the public library, one of the main libraries. No, not one of the main library yet, the headquarters library within the downtown vicinity area, neighborhood community district that has authority over all the other public branch libraries. And whereas he ran alongside the left of me, ran through some book aisles and come out alongside the right of me, sat at the table across from where I was sitting at. And I took it then because he had a working cell phone, working laptop, and a limit of a rad of a car, automobile, or motor vehicle, or whatever I said, as I found out much later. And so I took it that he was legit, man. Only being because he's a white boy, whereas if he had been a brother, I would have been less likely to give him the benefit of the doubt. So from there, I walked over to his table as I'm listening to his conversation with a second partner on the opposite end of a tail line for his own personal cell phone. And I put some money down on the table and, against my better judgment, whereas I should have went with my gut feeling. I extended him the invitation or offer to permit him to spend the night with me in my place of residence, where I'm at now. You know, like I said before, so I say again, and likewise, had stated for the record. Though it's not where I want to be, but it beats being homeless, or it beats becoming or being a derelict transit, and like that drunken homeless bum white boy who played me big time. But anyway, though, and this I permitted him to do was I let him have the back room, the little actual back bedroom to my place of residence, compared to how I was using my living room area as an alternative bedroom for myself where I usually sleep, see. And I had permitted him to spend the night with me only after I had not only put money down on the table for him in that particular library, but then I had took him to one of the better eating spots, whereas you know, make a selection from the menu and then you make your purchase as in buy whatever it is that whets your palate, you know, or to help satisfy your appetite. And whereas he ate one of the meals there with me that I made a purchase of, and whereas the other that I bought for him, he took out as takeout. And then I paid for gas for his lemon of a ride as in car, automobile, motor vehicle. And then last but not least, I let him spend the night with me in my place of residence, only for him to insult my intelligence and or disrespect me by standing in the entranceway doorway of my makeshift bedroom, being my living room area, which I had let him have the little actual back bedroom to my place of residence, and he was standing in the entryway doorway of my makeshift alternative bedroom, being in my living room area at something like 5 in the morning at the crack of dawn, and it spooked the damn hell out of me as believing God. So how much more it would have spooked me if I was still an unbeliever, But then I just merely tried to shrug it off. And then from there, I offered him an invitation as I extended that to him to, you know, partake of the atmosphere of premises properties of a public facility where this here one self-help recovery program meeting is being held for a local church atmosphere, you know. And only to find out there that he supposedly claims that he no longer has, don't any longer not having some such funds as he had before, like $900 in a GoFundMe account he set up for himself, you know. And I thinking, wow, if that's okay, why didn't you get you a hotel or motel room with some of that money, you know? But anyway, he ran game on me, especially as he threw in this clincher, which was like saying, I have a rich relative. I have a rich relative. And I will have be coming off like Tricky Dick Nixon. I am not a crook. Vote for me and I'll set you free. I'm not trying to enslave you. I'm not trying to take you captive to my twisted, warped, wicked mindset. I'm not trying to have you become an enabler for me. I'm not trying to move off of you, become a welcher, etc. But then he was coming off like some such for the shyster, scam artist, con artist that he had, you know, showed himself to be as he revealed his true colors. Because if I had known from Jump Street that didn't give him the benefit of a doubt as a white boy, because I don't know, I should have been thinking, because if he had been a brother, I wouldn't have slept at one so soon. You know, I would have asked him questions. Do you have any money before you can spend the night with me in my own pad, my place of residence? Because what average working stiff, holding down a 9 to 5 job or college or university student is going to let a complete stranger that one had most recently met spend the night with one in one's atmosphere of a place of residence for its premises properties? Nobody in this world, not anybody who still possess half their marbles, not to mean contradict myself. No. Only a Christian believing God would do that. And one who is going the extra mile, you know, going beyond the call of duty more than your average Christian believing God or supposed so-called Christian believing God. You know, because I would have told him from Jump Street, ain't no way in the world you're going to step across my threshold into my place of residence atmosphere if you ain't showing me some Benjamins or hundreds, because you know it costs in hotels and motels quite a bit of money to spend a night, let alone spend a week there in one of some such, not to mention a month. And I'm wondering which hurt me more, that he mooshed off of me, all this stuff I did for him, or that the succeeding following week that he attended this same self-help recovery program meeting, he lies to my fellow self-help recovery buddies that he had told me from Jump Street that he's a homeless person, daily transient, or whatever I was saying. There's no way in the world he could compensate, reimburse me for me being personal by myself, playing the part of the Good Samaritan, with him, doing all this good stuff to benefit him, to prove to become and be in his better interest for general welfare. So I'm wondering which had hurt me more. More than likely, the latter than the former. I mean, I had no problem, that is trying to play the part of Good Samaritan, doing good deeds for somebody, but don't insult my intelligence. Don't disrespect me. Don't attempt to take my kindness for weakness. Don't attempt to use me as an enabler. If you don't have this or that, if you ain't, just be upfront. That's all I ask. Be truthful, be honest. But he wasn't. He was a total crook. A shyster, scam artist, a con artist. I mean, it's like he disrespected my place. Like I feel like as if he had disrespected Solomon's temple. For the city of Jerusalem in the Middle East. You know how there is like a conflict of interest between, the white Jewish and the white Arabs over the Middle East, who really is entitled to that foreign country and nation of that small democratic republic or democracy there. What was formerly called by its name of Palestine, then which had been renamed as that of the state of Israel by the white Jewish who owns the majority of most of that territory. I know it may sound kind of racist if I were to say, I mean, hell, you Arabs, you white Arabs, you have most of the Middle East. Why don't you just give all of Palestine or the state of Israel to the white Jewish? Why be greedy? Anyway, though, getting back to some of such closer to home, though. So, and to make a long story short, and to nip this in the bud, and getting back to the original topic discussion, for one that I had spoke on before the last original, so to speak, this. So I was greatly disappointed in myself that had fall for that of how that white boy, the drunken white boy of a homeless bum, had run game on me. And so were my fellow self-help recovery buddies. They couldn't believe that I was taken for a ride like that, for one who has quite a bit of recovery for this sobriety myself. Well, I meant to say, good God Almighty, Prince Peace, continue right now, man. Prince, Doctor, I didn't confuse my speech. And I was like, never again. May it be a cold day in hell before I sleep, something like that, Not in a million years, like I said before. So I say again, what average working stiff holding down a 9-to-5 job or a college or university student is going to let a complete stranger that one just met stay in one's place of residence, spend the night in one's apartment or a house or a home, Not anybody in this world. Like I said, it would have to be a believing God as a Christian, aka Protestant, going the extra mile, going beyond the call of duty of the average one, of a person who has professed faith in not just a higher power, but the higher power being of our Lord and Savior, the Christ Messiah deliverer. And moving right along. Other than that, my day went fairly well today. I'm about to close out because I have to make it to this one free eating spot of a soup kitchen, being one of the few that I know that feeds at night, that services the poor and needy as well as the homeless. Compared to most I know feed during the day. And as this one is one of those that I know that moonlights as a soup kitchen compared to other ones that don't. Yeah, my day went fairly well. I didn't do much at all. I'm just now recuperating, getting better, physically, mentally, etc. Hopefully, mentally, spiritually, as well as physically. Physician, heal thyself. Regardless of the how I suspect that my present proverbial neighbors from down hell being a worse or worstest ones yet could have played a big part in attempting to sabotage the program at hand for my own personal survival, you know, of plans. And as I'm trying to get right with God, believe it or not. Yeah, my day went fairly well. I didn't do much for the day. I picked up quite a few item products at a local Vicente neighborhood community pharmacy. You know, fortunately, at least I don't think I have to get any medical prescriptions filled. But then I would supplement some such as that being with over the counter drugs at a local pharmacy, not over the counter drugs out in the streets of illegal street drugs coming from one of the usual suspects of public enemy number one of a local vicinity area neighborhood community criminal of the likes of drug pushers or dope dealers. And then I would do home remedies, self medicate otherwise in a legit way. And so far, I have not had to do that. I mean, a few item products at this one pharmacy. And, let me see, did I eat at another soup kitchen much earlier? Oh, yeah, I did. Now I remember. I'm about to eat at one now. Once I were to close out and try to get there. Because they serve for a couple few hours. It's from 6 to 8. And this broadcast for about, the usual regular 30 minutes of half an hour. So I'm about to close out, you know. Oh yeah, the other day, some black person would attempt to collab with my person in a physical way upon a mass transit and public transportation system, and I had to right away. It don't matter whether it was for a bus or train route. Why must blacks always corner the market when it comes to that and make the rest of us blacks look bad? And whereas the first runner up to them that would pull that crap, something bogus of a nature, of a 2-cent power play, of a civil and human rights violation offense would be the Hispanics. But anyway, though, on this last note of interest, I'd like to say, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins. Oh, did I go to the library today? No, I wasn't able to make it to it. But anyway, though, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins, while the evil days come out by professing faith in Him, regardless of your race, walk of life, gender, age, etc. Because tomorrow is not promised to anybody. I say. So for whoever you are, once you were to think to profess faith in Him, you don't have to worry about ending up in lake of fire down hell, because you will have that being the only fire insurance against it, being Christ's blood sacrifice as He gave His life on the cross to carry. He was crucified between two thieves at the hands of Roman soldiers up on the orders of their superiors, religious, political, militarist, and otherwise. Once you were to profess faith in Him, you don't have to worry about ending up in the lake of fire down hell, to be tortured and terrorized by the devil and demons forever, because you will be of the company of like-minded believers in the kingdom of heaven with God and His angels.